Hey, welcome to Chaplain's Moment, Doctor's Call, and I think I got it finally right. Hey, guess what? We're 1 week away from Halloween. For some, it's the dreaded uh, party of all parties. Other people, it's a grand time. I used to look at Halloween not too positively, but I look at it as a time to be with my neighbors, get to know them, meet people I've never met before. I used to live very alone out in the country. We didn't have any trick or treaters, so I never got to talk with anybody. Now, living here in one of the pod communities of Bluffton, get all sorts of neighbors. I've met a quite amazing group of people. So take this Halloween and consider it a time to meet your neighbors. Hey, we're looking at the different soils that the gospel falls upon in the book of Matthew, chapter 13. Let's read from it and let's go from there. Our first verse comes from Matthew 13:8, where Jesus said, "Other seeds," that's the gospel, "fell on good soil and produced grain, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. He who has ears, let him hear." Then Jesus explains what that means over here in verse 22, where we read, actually it's verse 23. "As for what was sown on good soil, this is the one who hears the word and understands it. He indeed bears fruit and yields in one case 100-fold, in another 60, and another 30. There is clear indication that these are what we call believers without question. These are the teachers, the preachers, the people who really truly understand the nature of the gospel. The seed falls, and the indication is they take it and it's fertilized. It's good soil. Their heart is ready and willing to act upon it. And there's an easy way to tell that this is definitely without question the believer, because they reproduce. They tell people about Jesus. They're not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ. They are fully aware of what's going on. So this is good soil. Now, this is what plays light on the other two soils, the rocky soil and the weed soil. If this is true believers, what about those other two? See, while this is about our hearts, why this is about the soil, it's also about the seed, the gospel, the grace of Jesus Christ. And that's why I believe all three are believers. The only ones that's not believers in this parable is the ones that the birds pick it up off the ground before it ever has a chance to root. But let me stop for a minute. One thing about our culture that I've become very aware of is that you must do things well. Let's take that to our belief, our faith. Wouldn't we want to be involved with our faith well? Well, yes, it is the grace of God, the mercy of God, the grace. While it is the work of God in our hearts, we have a responsibility to perpetrate that relationship, to allow that seed to grow, to produce fertilization, to make sure it's watered, to make sure it's on fertile ground. We have a responsibility to act upon our faith. Because without doing so, the troubles of life are going to get it. The heat of life, the troublesome moments are going to strangle it out. If you don't work on the root, what the root is, I'm going to get into the word. Let me encourage you. Read the Bible. The best thing I've ever done is read the Bible from cover to cover in a chronological Bible. Yep, that's right. It brought the whole Bible and understanding. I used the Zondervan chronological Bible. It actually starts with Genesis and quickly goes into Job in like chapter 2, and because Job was written before the rest of Genesis. It is truly a chronological Bible. It takes the New Testament and breaks up what can be seemingly endless stories. And when you put it in chronological order, you can really see the power and nature of the gospel perpetuating in hearts. That's what I mean by check. The soul is your heart. Where's your heart? Is it ready to grow in the grace and knowledge of Jesus Christ as the apostle Peter told us? Or are you just kind of holding on to your ticket, ready to stamp it for a journey to heaven? I want you all to be careful. If you say, "Yeah, John, I'm the rocky soul. The sun came out and scorched it. Yeah, I've been amongst weeds and I don't really care. I wanted you to be careful because the writer in the book of Hebrews does say that you must check your heart regularly to make sure of your salvation. Even Paul says, work out your salvation every day to make sure you're in the kingdom of God, because you wouldn't want to get there and be deceived by the great deceiver that you were never really a believer. Don't rest on what's the minimum. Shoot for it. Do the best you can to seek ye first the kingdom of God. And then it says, all these things will be added unto you. I like from Proverbs chapter 3, verses 4 and 5. Trust in the Lord with not a little bit of your heart, with all your heart. That's good soil. Trust him with all your heart. That's soil ready to reproduce. In all your ways, acknowledge him. In everything, acknowledge him. Engage him in all things. Do not depend upon your own understanding. Do not rest in your own understanding. Don't rest that you think you're there. We can be easily deceived. But here's the promise with those three things. So it's trust in the Lord with all your heart. Don't lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him. Here's the last one. He'll direct your path. He'll bring that seed to fruit. You will see reproduction. It's just natural. Let me encourage you to seek after your heart being the good soil for the gospel of Jesus Christ. You know, I would say first half of my life I was amongst the rocky soil and the brambles. I just went through the motions. But then the Lord got a hold of my heart. I began to practice Proverbs 3, 4, and 5. And the soil is now rich that I thirst for him. I can't wait to get to my Bible readings in the morning. I can't wait to get out and talk with him. Then I can't wait to hear from him. It's the best thing I ever did in my life. I would encourage you to do so too. Next week, we're going to look at a final verse in Matthew 13 here on Halloween, October 31st. It's going to be somewhat related to these verses. We're going to look at Matthew 13, verse 44. Join me for it next week. Thank you.